right, we are on a roll. This is sleeve number 2, part 2. Now over. Over. Down. And down. Okay. Everything's nice. Over. Down. Oop, slipping off my chair. Over. And down. 2 rows. Now we go over and up. So row 24, we're at 26 left and 26 right. And now 2 more rows. Over, up, over, up. One, 2. Hey, we're like over the halfway point for being done. This is pretty sweet. Row 30, we're at 23 left and 23 right. Oops, I forgot that I needed to move this one down. So we'll just do that right now. All right. Over. And down. Everything's good. 1, 2. Over. Over. this one goes up. And this one goes up. Two more rows. Over. Up. Over. Up. Everything's good. Row 36, we're at 20 left and 20 right. No! Oh, I just dropped one. Okay, so I just did a quick check. When I dropped this end stitch, I did not actually lose it, thankfully. But it was pretty close. All right, so we now have those moved over. Don't want to lose any of these stitches. Nice and gentle. Wow, that was very scary for me. Whew. Be very careful when transferring stitches that you don't drop that end one by accident. Whew. Could have been a lot worse. Wouldn't want to have to knit this twice. So that was row 36, 20 and 20. Knitting across. 1, 2. Looks good. 2 more rows. 1, 2. This is our last decrease. All right, we have 2 more rows, and then we do a whole bunch of transfers for the ribbing. Last set. 2 rows. 1. All right, now we get to do 1 by 1 ribbing. Let's go. Reset our row counter to 0, 0, 0 before we forget. And then we will switch from the gray yarn to the white yarn. And then we will switch from the white yarn to the red yarn and then back to the white yarn. I'm going to turn this off for a few seconds while I finish these transfers. Okay, so our first change is from tension 6 down to tension 3. We're going to cut the gray yarn, let it go, and switch to the red yarn. Well, we're going to switch the tension mast gray with red, but we're going to load the white yarn first for 5 rows. So let's load up our white yarn and put it in the place of where our gray yarn is. Dropping that down between the beds. White is dropped between the beds. And find that yarn end. Okay, oh, almost at it. Okay, so I have both yarn ends. Deep breath. I'm going to knit 4.5 rows with the white, and then I'll slow down to switch to the red yarn. Let's get that going. Nothing else has changed. So tension 3, 5 rows. Technically 4.5. Okay, so at the halfway point, we will switch to the red yarn. That's about half. What I noticed when I was doing the other seaming on the cuff is that it was really, really hard to tell where the yarn started and stopped. So I'm going to do that now. 1 second, please. So what I have in my little box of tricks is the Chinese needle threader. Thing is awesome. Put it right at the end. Now, better than the other way, now I can use the blunt needle. I can go through each ply instead of around each ply. Which is even better when doing the Russian join. Make sure I pull that tight. Tight. Trim my ends. Trim this end. Finish knitting the row. Now, 5 more rows. Well, 4.5. Okay, so this is almost. I keep hitting the camera, sorry. So, about half. Cut to the bottom. Put away the red. Bring out the white. Thread the needle. Thread it with white. white to red. Pull it tight. Thread it. Sometimes it gets a little wonky. Pull it to the end. Stabbing it through. All right. Ooh, careful now. You don't want to accidentally go backwards. All right, finish your row. Now, 5 more rows. Looks pretty good. Taking a deep breath. Now we're going to transfer everything back. Now after this is the last of the knitting that we have to do on this entire project. Because after this, we are doing one seam. From this cuff all the way down to the bottom band of ribbing. All right, release your ribber. Lower it all the way down. Remove your pressers. Take off your connecting arm. I can't remember if I did tension 10. I will check. Okay, so tension 10. Knitting 1 row. And then we will do a backstitch bind off. So now we need at least 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And the reason why I do 4 is so that I have enough to seam all the way down the side. So before I do the backstitch bind off, I am going to remove all of the weight from the piece. Okay, just like before, bring them all forward. And now I get the honor of backstitching. You get the idea. We'll come back when I'm closer to the end. Okay. Found a little piece of siding so that my thread doesn't get caught on the gate pegs. And then the last 2 stitches. And that's it for the knitting machine part. I'll hold on to that. I'm going to see what happens if I just knit this across. Look at that, it dropped it nicely. So now I'm going to move my camera so that you can mostly see what I'm doing here. So now I'm going to release this piece. And then I get the honor of seaming it up. With luck, I did this the right direction, and I don't have to cry. So that goes back over there. So what I need to do is I need to match up these 2 yarn marks. This yarn tail, that one's okay. These yarn tails. Okay, so I'm going to sew from this loop here down to here, and then I'm going to sew using this yarn all the way down to here. If it doesn't make it, I will sew from this one here, and then this one's a little short and it's already bound off, so I'll probably get some more yarn. I don't know if you want to stick with me for that part, but I guess I can show you a couple.